Hello everyone. This is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the headlines for the Ukraine war. And breaking news is the U.S. is going to send a delegation to Kyiv this week, according to Zelenskyy. This representative from Donald Trump administration will be talking to Zelenskyy ahead of the Munich Security Conference. So there's some significant figures from Trump's team will be in Ukraine ahead of the Munich conference, according to Zelenskyy. Afterward, he will be attending the Munich conference with several meetings lined up, including one with the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. So Zelenskyy said that the focus must be on practical cooperation between Ukraine and the United States and a shared understanding on key issues. So that's the main thing. He said that there may be different opinions, but it's important to find unified vision on how to stop Putin and ensure Ukraine's long-term security. So it's going to be a tough negotiation for sure. That's 100% for sure for Zelenskyy. And then Zelenskyy also addressed the issue regarding elections. So in this interview with ITV, he said, when was asked about the elections, he said, "What are elections? Today, I'm not afraid of them at all. What will happen? We must end martial law or suspend martial law. If we suspend martial law, we will lose the army. And in principle, the Russians will be happy. We lose then the fighting ability, spirit, and so on. People will return home and will have the right to return home. Russia will definitely use this for counter-offensive actions." So basically he's saying that if they need to have elections, they need to remove the martial law. Removing the martial law means people will go home, or at least go home for voting, and that will create loopholes where the Russian military can break through, which I think logical in that sense. So he said that the election will also be impossible to be held abroad, as well as in Russian occupied territories. And as such, the Russian Federation will say that the elections is illegitimate. So he says he's going to be very careful with this issue. And I also do agree. It basically, there's no win for Zelenskyy in terms of this kind of thing. So he said that we would all like the war to end, to hold elections like no one else. But they say that the population is against the election. He said that the Ukrainian population is against election, and he said that everyone understand what will happen if they do an election. So yeah, very, very interesting. So so that's the main gist of this statement. I think there's no win. Like I said, there's no win. No matter what Zelenskyy do is wrong. So on the other news, the Estonian president has called for a complete EU trade ban on Russia. So Ala Karis, let me add some photo. So this guy, so this is the president of Estonia. He called for the full trade embargo against Russia by the European Union. Honestly, I'm still surprised that they haven't done that yet. But anyway, he insists that EU must further strengthen independence and stop importing Russian energy resources, and should consider a full trade embargo against Russia. So the war in Ukraine demonstrated the necessity for complete energy independence from Russia, according to Dan Jorgensen of the European Commissioner for Energy and Housing. So, I mean, they should. I mean, this is really weird. Like if they continue to trade with Russia and then they want to support Ukraine, that's a weird oxymoron, in terms of how they're going to operate. Like it's the same on the Russian side. Like they're fighting a war, but it's not like a war. They still continue to sell stuff to Ukraine, or do pay transit for the gas and whatnot. It's super weird. This is a very weird war. So and what is more weird is this: the Russian ambassador to North Korea shares that the Russian, some of the Russian war wounded is actually now recovering in North Korea, and the children of fallen soldiers are also attending summer camps in North Korea. And this was like a bit bizarre, and I actually did fact check this because it sounds a bit like, wow, that's weird, and it's real. Like this is real. It's reported by Moscow Time as well. So he said this in a news interview with the Russian state media. So he said that Pyongyang, the North Korea, have been supplying so this is actually no. This article is actually by Medusa. So just want to note. So this early first paragraph is just the overall summary. I got to skip that. So according to Alexander Messigora, which is this guy, the ambassador, he shared that hundreds of Russian soldiers wounded in Ukraine have undergone rehabilitation in North Korea. So said in the recent interview with the state media, Rossiyskaya Gazeta. So Russian Gazette, right? So according to Messigora, the Russian troops have been recovering in North Korean sanatoriums and medical facilities, and they framed the arrangement as a friendly attitudes from North Koreans towards the Russians, attributing to cultural ties and shared history. So he said that the warm attitude is getting warmer, and the ambassador also said that in the summer of 2024, children of Russian soldiers killed in Ukraine were sent to the Songdo-won International Children Camp in the North Korean coast. The treatment, care, and meals relating to their stay in North Korea, I think includes the soldiers that was injured, was completely free. And Russia actually offered to cover some of the costs, but the North Koreans felt offended, refused the compensation. So which is actually very East Asian, it's a very Chinese, Japanese, Korean thing to do. So I think this makes this is interesting. And so this is not the Ukrainian propaganda. This is actually coming from the ambassador himself. So this is actually some interesting revelation. And if you read at the Medusa's opening statement, he said that Pyongyang has been supplying Moscow with weapons for the war in Ukraine, which is 100% happening. Then by last fall, according to intelligence report, beginning sending troops. So this is of course we have our doubts. There is of course 2 North Korean soldiers already captured. A lot is allegedly killed, but the thing is it's so unclear. We're not so sure what's the real situation. But this is definitely uptick in terms of relationship between the two. So it's very, very interesting. And more on Russia is the Russians are now trying to innovate something new. Over in the Bakhmut front, Russia is now installing anti-drone nets in the entire supply route from leading from Bakhmut all the way to Chasiv. So the entire road, I think, is this Ivanivsky road. This road is entirely covered by the 3rd Army Corps. They say that they're covering 2 kilometers of road with anti-drone nets, and they are trying to expand and improve the system. And according to the Ukrainian side, they say that the Russians are constructing nets spanning several kilometers to protect logistics. The nets are to defend against drones, and smaller nets also helps to block dropped munitions and mines. So this is interesting. Then so I think this is still under testing. So if this works, then Russia is probably going to use this everywhere. But of course the nets doesn't provide complete protection. I feel like there is a lot of ways that you can actually break it. For example, start off with an artillery strike first, break a hole, and then the drones can fly in. I think that is a possibility. So anyway, this is interesting. But the net is nothing particularly special. I look at the article. So the net thing, this is one of the image. I cannot play the video because there will be music, but you can see they just put up some sticks. No thanks. Put up some sticks, and then you can see the netting they're trying to build up. Of course, this is a very this protects the vehicles from side attacks, but not from the top. But of course, if you look at the top picture, you can see that this is actually a lot more bigger. So then they're definitely doing some testings, and this is something new, very interesting. I've never seen this before, so this is cool. This is published by Kyiv Post, by the way. So, and in other news regarding weapon supplies to Ukraine, we have some news. Germany deployed a Patriot system. This one is by their own air force, air defense force, but this is deployed at Rezol. I also don't know how to pronounce that. In Poland. This is not in Ukraine. So they deployed 2 air defense systems to Poland, which is around 100 vehicles and 200 personnel, which is next to the Ukraine border. This is to protect the NATO frontline, relieving the 5th Battalion of the US Army's 7th Air Defense Artillery Regiment. So this is just a deployment. So this is just something to note. That is actually just outside of Ukraine. The other one is actually the Ukraine is going to receive the Patria 8x8. So is this armored carrier, which Latvia Defense Ministry has ordered unknown number to give to Ukraine. And they didn't only just buy for Ukraine, they also buy for themselves, but tentatively it's unclear how many they're going to give to Ukraine. So this carrier can carry 10 soldiers, so can act as command post and for medical evacuations, and the Ukraine is expected to receive this later this year. So and then it will not affect the Latvians' orders in terms of volume and scheduling. So the Latvian Defense Minister Andris Spruts say that they will not only support Ukraine in the fight, but also test the durability of armored vehicles in real combat conditions, so they can actually have useful lessons for themselves. He shouldn't have just said the second part. Just say the first part is enough. No. Anyway, the Germans also have delivered some vehicles. This one is the all-terrain vehicles, the Caracal, all-terrain vehicles. 5 is now delivered. So this is produced by Rheinmetall, the German defense company. So they have delivered 5 of these vehicles to Ukraine. Previously, they have already delivered 5. So total, they're going to bring up to 20. Sorry, they already gave 15. So that brings the total fleet to 20. So they're going to deliver another 5. So Ukraine currently have 15. So 5 more of this is now being delivered. Another 5 is going to be delivered later. So this is a Mercedes-Benz G-Class SUV. So they can actually deploy different weapons from machine gun to anti-tank missiles, and 4x4 wheel drive. So February 2024, last year, 1 year ago, Ukraine ordered 20 of this, and this 20 is going to be paid by the Germans. The Germans is paying this as part of the military assistance to Ukraine. So the first batch of the 5 was delivered in October. So now they're going to receive the 16th to the 20th. So it's interesting. So Netherlands also ordered this as well as Germany, but they're not going to get it only this year. They're only going to get this year. Ukraine is the first to use this vehicle. So it's a totally new vehicle, and they're giving it first to Ukraine. And now finally, some news in terms of money. The European Investment Bank has concluded agreement with Ukraine to finance restoration of energy and critical infrastructure after the meeting with Denis Shmyhal, the Prime Minister of Ukraine. So they're going to allocate 16.5 million euros for infrastructure recovery and energy efficiency. Then the second agreement will spend 100 million to restore water supply and drainage system, improve heating, modernize key social services, blah blah blah. So and they are also talking about other stuff. So EIB has one of the biggest project portfolio in Ukraine. There's 25 projects worth 4.95 billion. So they are very invested, very invested, and they have already spent 2 billion. So the European Investment Bank is very invested in Ukraine for sure. So anyway, that's it. So this is all the big news. around the past 24 hours plus relating to the Ukraine war. Let me know what you think in the comment. If you're interested, let me know in the comment to tell me, to encourage me to do more of this, and press the like button, subscribe. That's important. And I'll see you guys in the next update.